Hey, how's it going, Captains? Admiral Hattori here, and welcome aboard for another World of Warships video on my channel. In today's video, I am sailing the Tier 10 American light cruiser, the USS Worcester. So recently, the main topic of many videos, or at least discussion in the forums, is light cruisers. And right here is a really prime example of a light cruiser. My most favorite light cruiser to play at the moment. But before I was playing the Worcester, I was playing a lot of curve first, and I was really having a hard time getting a curve first gameplay going. Because the curve first, it's very situational. You really have to get into the front lines. The only issue is that there's a lot of things that will get in my way, like torpedoes, and the big topic is HE, because recently Wargaming has released in the armory the Smolensk, the Soviet light cruiser, and that thing dishes out a lot of fires, and I got really sick of it, so I decided to jump into my Worcester. But not just want to talk about fires and HE, because that is really the hot topic right now, especially when you got the Colbert, which is also offered in the armory but under the research bureau. But a lot of people have been asking or talking about how is HE going to affect the overall environment of this game. And it really has come to a point where it can be really irritating to get a game going. Mainly the battleship players are upset about it. And when you talk about HE and fires, that's usually the fires are the one that upset the battleship, but a lot of these cruisers are light cruisers and they have serious high rate of fire, so the destroyer players aren't really happy when they get caught by these type of cruisers, especially when you look at the Colbert. And I got sick of it, so let's play the Worcester. Now, I do like light cruisers, but they're inherently, if you look at a light cruiser in terms of what it has to offer, there are some serious issues to making them competitive. Because you look at the Minotaur, you look at the Worcester, being a light cruiser, they aren't really fit in a sense of World of Warships gameplay, if that makes sense. In real life, they're very useful, and it's for that reason that they play a very specific role, and that is supportive role. So as you will see in this game, when I put myself out on the front lines, like what people expect in the World of Warships game, because most ships that you will play, especially battleships, are expected to be somewhat a frontline ship that takes damage and do damage, whereas a light cruiser like the Worcester just can't take damage. And that what brings us to the point of the general formula to playing a light cruiser, and that is to sit behind islands, especially for the American light cruiser, because they're so easily taken out in the early parts of the game if you show a lot of broadside. Whereas the Royal Navy, which I have the Neptune currently, man, it is horrendous when you don't have smoke or any island, or if you get spotted. It's really difficult to do open water light cruiser. Now, is there any light cruiser out there that you can do open water? Not to my knowledge. Maybe the earlier tiers, and it's only for the reason that earlier tier ships, their accuracy are just generally inconsistent unless you're less than 10 kilometers, right? So at this tier, you're pretty much gone if you sail broadside in a light cruisers. And in general, yes, you do lose a lot of HP in any cruiser, whether it's light or heavy, but the light ones are the one that really takes a lot of damage. And it's just not sailing broadside. For instance, the Worcester, a really lucky penetration from like a 406mm gun can really knock a fifth of my HP. And most of the time, I try my best to not just sit behind islands, but when it comes to the time to do so, because whether you fighting over the pride of dying versus trying to make the right decision to winning the game, I would have to sacrifice pride at that point, right? Well, at least for me, I value trying to be useful as much as possible in order to achieve that victory. But the Worcester is one of the most beautiful cruisers, in my opinion, when it comes to firing full broadside. I really do love the the muzzle effect with the, I guess the gunpowder. You guys understand what I'm trying to say, the black smoke, right? I know there's a technical term. And right there, look at that. That is the tested Italian, I guess, heavy cruiser. I had to really look into that one. I saw one really up close and personal when I was spectating somebody was using it. Don't know how to pronounce that Italian name, but you guys understand what I'm trying to say. Yeah, it is a beautiful cruiser. I think it has, let's see, three, so probably 15 guns. I'm trying to remember at the top of my head when I was looking at it, but it is an absolutely beautiful cruiser. Looking forward to the Italian line. So right here, this is a prime example of why a lot of light cruisers, especially Americans, decide to back off. Now, is there, could if I was to play World Warships and I wanted to change the dynamics of how light cruisers work in this game, how would I do it? Well, you can't just tweak the Citadel and tweak the armor to be resistant and make it not like a light cruiser, because the original intention is to be a support ship and is not really expected to face big giant battleships. That is for the job for a battleship, picking on somebody who is their own size. But this is World of Warship. You can't really expect much, and we're going to be trying to gear these type of ships that each ship has a chance. Not a guaranteed chance, not an equal chance, but a chance to win against another ship, depending on the ship type. And right there, I got hit really hard on the Citadel. Funny thing is that Worcester, I believe Worcester has better survivability than the Des Moines, at least for my experience. And the reason why is because the Citadel is lower than the Des Moines, and since the Worcester being light cruiser, it tends to overpenetrate, which is really hard to convince myself to do, because in order to get overpenetration, you have to show considerable amount of broadside, and that is the decision between taking practically minimal damage versus taking a lot of Citadel and might get devastated strike. And that is the dilemma I face. I try to put myself in an angle where it's not easy to hit the Citadel, but at the same time, try not to angle too much to a point where the AP shell will stick in my armor. Right here, I decided to stop shooting because I'm seriously being focused by the Republic and the cruisers on the side, especially the Yoshino and that French cruiser, because I'm pretty sure those guys have quite the guns to knock me out, especially at this percentage of HP. Right here, I activated the the AA sector. I'm not sure how to use it. I assume, is there some sort of timing to it? I just activate it once the planes get within the AA range. So I'm still trying to figure it out. I got really lazy about reading the article how this thing works, but I just press it. It's a Worcester. Worcester's, they have great AA in general, so I'm not too concerned about making a proper maximum use of these AA. So Republic is almost dead. I originally had this ship equipped with the reload upgrade, but I decided to go for range. And I kind of like range more because of how high tier gameplay works. Because high tier gameplay, the average range of engagement is probably 15 kilometers. Kind of wish it was a little bit shorter, but it is what it is. So what can you do with light cruisers? Back to the original thought process when I was trying to talk about when it comes to light cruisers. I kind of wish that Wargaming would make a system that gives light cruiser an incentive to be at the front lines. And when I say that, it happens a few times from time to time, but again, the idea is support. And I kind of wish that they might create some sort of bubble or aura where if you're following a battleship, say for instance 6 kilometers, if the battleship's within 6 kilometers, a friendly battleship, and you provide fire support, then the Worcester or any light cruiser should be given bonus rewards. That's how I feel about it. It's kind of the same way as saying like a battleship, where a battleship doesn't necessarily do a lot of damage, but is still given the opportunity to get reward for taking damage from the enemy team. Hence the potential damage. And right there, it looks like my potential damage with the Worcester is 1.7 million, which is, I think that is quite a bit, because for a battleship, it ranges around 2 to 3 million, so I'm pretty close to a battleship, and this is with a light cruiser. So right here, this is the point in the game where I decided that I have to play smart and just gotta do what I gotta do. The most shameful way to play behind the island. And that Kremlin, there's a lot of Kremlins in the servers nowadays, and I think the Kremlin at the moment is probably the best tier 10 battleship to bring out. The Kremlin always gives me a lot of issues, so, well, actually, surprisingly, I'm not shattering as much as I should with my Worcester against the Kremlin. But yeah, you can see me trying to work on this Kremlin. The Kremlin is slowly backing up. Our friendly Gearing is trying to capture the B flag, going against the Gearing. Looks like Kremlin fired, and the Zhao was caught broadside, and as a result, she was sunk by the Kremlin. Right here, I'm going to send one more salvo down the range of Gearing. Might be able to secure it. It looks like a kill still, but I just want to send it down because I got nothing else to shoot at since the Kremlin is way out of the range. I only set 5 fires so far. It looks like I set more. I should have set more. Sometimes fire chances are just really weird. Some games I get like 5 fires, and the other games I get like 25. Like, how is that even possible? Serious discrepancy when it comes to the RNG. So now the Kremlin is moving forward, going within the range, well, within my max range on the Worcester. Yeah, you can definitely tell the rainbow of HE coming down onto that Kremlin at 17 kilometers. At this point, I decided to do sequential fire rather than full broadside, because sequential, I honestly think that is more accurate against targets that are stationary or slow, and they bow on. The broadside, when you fire broadside, you can see the horizontal spread quite a bit, but it looks like the grouping is a lot better when you do sequential. The only issue with sequential is that it can be very difficult to lead, which is why you only use it if the target is stationary or going at a predictable direction. So it looks like I'm actually hitting the Kremlin a little bit. Just guessing my way through here. Our friendly Republic, Gearing, and I think it's a Shimakaze on the B flag are pushing up. Now here comes the Yamato. I'm trying to figure out where I should push up, because if I get spotted, the Kremlin and the Yamato most likely will turn their guns at me. But it looks like the Yamato is preoccupied with, I'm guessing, the Republic. The Kremlin does take out the Shimakaze. I'm not sure how the Shimakaze got caught. Probably the enemy midway, no, not midway, the Audacious spotted the Shimakaze on the B flag. Now it's spotting our Gearing. So I'm continuing the bombardment. For me, I really do like light cruisers a lot, but I think I prefer heavy cruiser in most situations, only because they can handle themselves much better than light cruiser. But if you're strictly talking about a light cruiser like the Worcester, in a strategic point, these cruisers are probably better than heavy cruiser. And when I say strategic point, it's in terms of not concerning yourself with just the first thing you go into battle is sinking a ship, but looking for targets that are compatible, or at least in your advantage against these type of target, which are specifically, in the case of the Worcester, is just establishing dominance in the flag zone or near the flag zone against enemy destroyers and even other cruisers, because light cruisers at close range can be deadly. Even though I can definitely beat a Worcester with my Des Moines, because if I can get most of my firepower on the bow, whereas the Worcester had to show considerable amount of broadside in order to get its potential firepower, yeah, the heavy cruiser usually win, because that was their main purpose. Their guns were built to be bigger than your typical light cruisers, because they are able to do more damage than light cruisers. Whereas the light cruisers, you really have to work for those for that damage. At the same time, heavy cruisers, they're capable of penetrating the battleship armor at a distance, especially with AP. So right here, we finally take out the Kremlin, and at this point, it's game. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time on World of Warships.